All right. Looks like we're ready to go. You ready, Pete?
Yep.
All right. Mouse.
Someone's down. Is it you?
Ready, Pete?
Welcome to, I guess I wasn't ready, Rich. Welcome to live, everybody. Good to have you with us here on Bass University Tuesday. We're calling this Ticket Sales Tuesday. Our Bass University classes are up and running. And I need my mouthpiece in there. Ticket Sales Tuesdays. Our classes are up and running, guys. Go to thebassuniversity.com, get a ticket. We're going to be coming to your neighborhood with a host of amazing speakers, including Ike and John Cruz, and so many more that are coming to our classes this year. That Lee Livesey is going to be with us in Texas. We've got a great lineup in Texas. We're coming to Athens, Texas, just outside Dallas. We'll be in Shreveport. We are going to be in Anderson, South Carolina, just a couple weeks, and Gadsden, Alabama. We look forward to going back to all of these places and seeing all of our friends and learning. Well, hey, one really cool component of the Bass University classes this year is sonar, advanced electronics, from basic to advanced electronics. In the house, we are going to have the professional installers and pro operators of the system. So I don't care what brand you run. I run Humminbird, but we're going to have representatives there from all the big three, Garmin and Lowrance and Humminbird. They're going to be there on site. We have the Bass Tank's going to be with us in Texas and Shreveport with John Soka and his crew, which is great. So if you have questions about how to operate them, we got you. Questions about installation, we got you. Installation is so key when you're dealing with these advanced electronics. Making sure that you're using the right harness, eliminating interference, getting the voltage up to where you need it for these units to operate at their peak. We got you. So we got the Bass Tank coming. We have Sonar Pros at Anderson, and we have Bucks Island installation specialists are going to be with us in Gadsden. So we're going to have you covered. So really excited about adding electronics to the classes this year.
If you buy a 2-day ticket today,
this is our last day.
Yeah, it's our last day. So if you buy a 2-day ticket to any of our seminars in Anderson, Gadsden, Athens, or Shreveport, you will get sent from us a Rapala DT6, Rapala hat, Big Bite Baits Tilapia Magic, VMC Tokyo rig, and a Bass Shoot face shield.
Nice.
It's pretty awesome. So get your tickets.
Yep. How cool is that? And not to mention, when you come on site, this is like the early bird stuff. If you're buying a ticket now, today's the last day of our special holiday gift pack, and it ends tonight at midnight. So get your tickets now, take advantage of that. But guess what? If you're on site, we're going to hook you up too. We've got great stuff, including a Bass University t-shirt, a great gift bag featuring Rapala, and so many other great brands and great products. There's
a ton of giveaways this year. We are going to be giving out a ton of prizes at the end of Saturday's class, at the end of Sunday's class. There's so many giveaways.
I know we're giving away some hydro waves.
Yeah. Some what are they called? Like the light systems for boats.
And
stuff like that.
Marine light
That's
systems.
pretty cool.
Nice.
And then all of the anglers typically bring something to give away as well. Wink, wink, hint, hint. So it could be a jersey. It could be a lot of things. So just be there.
just be there. And I can't wait to see you guys in class. Get over to thebassuniversity.com. Get your tickets. It's a great time to subscribe. You can't make it to class. We have a great Nichols Lures gift pack. This is a $50 Nichols Lures. Thank you, Nichols Lures gift pack that is available for new annual subscribers at Bass University. So check that out. Go get yourself subscribed. If you can't make it to class, all of our educational content is going to be available there.
That's ending soon too, right?
Yeah, Friday's the last day to get that 6 months for $69.
Friday is the last day. It's a 6 month. It's a $69 subscription, and you give you a $50 gift pack from Nichols. And in honor of that, today's show is going to be so cool. Our friend, longtime Bass University instructor, JT Kenney, is going to be with us. He's the man over at Major League Fishing, and he is a super tournament champion, won many times over the years. We're going to be talking about something that is everybody's going to be dealing with is cold fronts, how fish respond, how we get, of course, where he lives in Florida, you get warming trends and these surging cold fronts all the time. And then as that warming moves up to the rest of us, we all deal with it. And cold fronts, especially in the springtime, can radically impact the bite, how you have to adjust to it, especially if we're dealing with Florida strain bass like he's dealing with down there. But we have them up as close to Delaware around.
I want to know what kind of cold front there is in Florida.
It's miserable. It really is.
Yeah, they break out the mink coats and everything when it gets below 50. So I'm curious.
I don't think they don't have coats. That's an interesting question for JT. I don't know if he owns winter coats anymore.
It's like
If I moved to Florida, no way.
Yeah.
No way. Although when I was in
Your blood
Arizona
gets
last
thin,
week
though.
and it was cold.
oh yeah.
I mean, there were some really nice days, but other than that, it was cold and rainy.
There's something to it. I don't know what it is. Is it the humidity? I don't know. But when that cold front comes in Florida, it is bone chilling.
Yeah, the Florida cold is like it's really not that cold, but when you're in Florida and it gets cold, it's like, damn, it's cold.
Yeah.
Well, if you move down there, your blood thins out.
Yep.
And you're cold all the time if it's not 80 degrees. So
I know that's the way they feel. And it's funny. I do know people, they threw away all their winter coats, but we're going to be talking about that. Cold fronts is the most challenging thing in fishing, right? If you're, if fish, especially the Florida strain, they're very difficult in cold front situations. A little bit easier with the northern strain. They're a little bit more cooperative, but still, it's going to cause you to have to change. You change your tactics, your locations, so many different things. And we're actually dealing with a warming trend around here where the ice is almost gone, Rich. We were talking before we got on, just quick. The guy crashed into the floating ice mass.
Yeah. So I don't know if the gentleman that did that is a Bass U subscriber or is watching, but if you are, my condolences for you, bro, because you were running down the Northeast River at a clip. I mean, going 50, 60, maybe full speed on pad, bass boat, fiberglass, the whole deal. And where the ice is in the Northeast River right now, it's still thick. It's still 2 inches thick. Like along the shoreline at my house, I could walk out on the ice. That's how thick it's
all the way down there.
Yeah, and I'm almost to Turkey Point.
Yeah.
And so the ice in the Northeast River that's still hanging around is thick. And homeboy went from 60 to 0 real quick. And it sounded like fireworks went off in the Northeast River, but it was really just the sound of either fiberglass or ice getting crunched. Lucky for him, I saw him turn around. He got back up on plane and went running back up the river the opposite way, probably straight to the marina to put his boat on the trailer because he has a gaping hole now. But
man.
Ouch.
I don't know who you were, but we're feeling it for you, man. We've all done some dumb stuff, whether it's skipping a sandbar or hitting a shoal. Now I've seen somebody hit ice,
blasting the ice.
Well, I love the enthusiasm. I mean, he really, really wanted to make it to the Northeast Isles docks to blade bait them. Because he was gonna do it.
Time of year.
That's the best keel guard commercial I ever heard.
Oh man,
yeah, right.
Yep.
What a deal. That's scary stuff, because a lot of times you can't really see the ice that well. But I know like that last remaining ice is where the fish tend to get under,
right,
and they'll hold there. And the big gizzard shad, I got some images of these gizzard shad just everywhere up in that part of our bay. And they're congregating in this cold water, and of course, those giants are right there with them. But that's a crazy story. I know we filmed in the ice, and It's the most excruciating sound you've ever heard if you're a boat owner, a fiberglass boat owner.
No.
When your boat rubs up against that edge of that ice, it shatters and cracks. It sounds like somebody's got a knife and they're just gouging down the side of your fiberglass gel coat. Oh, horrible.
Yeah, pretty bad.
But you
Pretty
guys
bad.
still do it.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. But guys, we're live here from Tackle Direct Studios. If you're in the market right now for a boat, it's a good time. You know, the spring's going to be here soon. It's right around the corner.
And you got some Christmas money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you just smashed into an ice flow,
yeah,
we got you.
Yeah, get your boat fixed and then sell it quickly. But no, head over to bassboatforsale.com. All the boats on Bass Boat for Sale are tournament ready, and they have a boat for every budget. I mean, from under 10K all the way up to the highest price points you can imagine, and everything in between. There's a boat there for you. Also, check out our friends over at Hobie Eyewear. These are some amazing sunglasses that are lightweight, awesome lenses, and a lot of their models float. So if you're one of those guys that leans over the side of the boat, your hat falls off, your glasses fall off, well, guess what? Your sunglasses are going to float. You're not going to lose them. And also, make sure you head over to Tackle Direct to get ready for the spring. Always awesome deals going on over there. Always good stuff, and they'll get it to you quick. The shipping at the Tackle Direct is amazing. It'll be at your door in like a day. Like all this past season, they would bail me out. I'd text Ryan like, "Dude, I need 6 of these color tomorrow," and then they stop biting that color tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Well, check out our boys at Tackle Direct. We're proud to be brought to you by Tackle Direct Studios. I want to give a quick shout out, I guess, man. Thoughts and prayers to DeMar Hamlin. Did you guys see?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
See that football player?
terrible.
Just really had a cardiac arrest right in front of us all, and see how it affected all the teams who just rallied around him in prayer, really, and shut the football game down. What a hard thing. I understand. He's on his way to recovery. I really don't know the latest. I saw the news early this morning. I hope improvement has continued, and he's going to be up and around. But I just couldn't help be struck by that. I happened to be watching the game last night, and
I really did appreciate that they didn't keep replaying it. What happened? They just they said something happened, and they did cancel the game or suspend the game. So
did you see?
I did. I watched it. Yeah.
I mean, it was when the man stood up. He made a nice hit, nice tackle.
Mm-hmm.
But he stood up and it just collapsed like that.
Very sad.
Very, very sad. It's
but scary.
We'll find out more details and thoughts and prayers to him and his family, and hope the road to recovery is good. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be right back with good friend of mine, ours at Bass U, longtime instructor and a super talented angler, JT Kenney. We're going to be talking cold fronts. We'll be right back after this.
What's going on? It's Riz here from the Bass University, and I am excited to welcome in Waterwood Custom Baits to the Bass U family. These are custom handmade baits in the South Rainforest of Brazil. They're made of Marupa pedra wood. It's extremely dense, it's resistant, but it's also really buoyant. They're made of quality components with a 100% guarantee. They're made for tournament anglers to get it done when the money is on the line. Guys, that was like my second cast with this bait. That's a Waterwood custom bait. These things are handmade in the rainforest south of Brazil. And I mean, as you can see right here, it's a fish catching bait. It's got the front hook. That means they wanted it. This bait's, it's running really true. It throws really well. Guys, check them out at waterwoodcustombaits.com.
BassBoatForSale.com is the world's premier bass boat listings business. We focus on driving premium web traffic to our main website, business Facebook page, business Instagram, and our business YouTube channel, providing your bass boat listings the best buying traffic and top-notch exposure. Whether you need to sell your bass boat or are looking to buy a bass boat, it's simple. We give boats exposure so buyers shop and sellers list. One-time listing fee, no commission, and boats list until they sell. BassBoatForSale.com. Check it out.
AquaView, the leader in underwater viewing technology. Find what you are looking for. Catch more fish. Have more fun. AquaView. Seeing is believing.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA. Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water, not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Hey guys, welcome back to Bass University Live. Got a fun show. Our good friend JT Kenney is going to be with us here. We're going to be talking about cold fronts and a lot of other great stuff here at Bass U. By the way, go over to thebassuniversity.com, get your tickets. All the classes are there. We have just a couple more speakers to add to the list, which we will be doing shortly. But it's the who's who of who's making it happen, who's winning in tournament fishing, teaching about the things that they're really, really talented at. That's every Bass University. It's a Saturday and Sunday class. It's cold out. Come on in. It's a great time to learn. Spend Saturday and Sunday with the Bass University and all your bass buddies. Go over to thebassuniversity.com and check that out. Without any further ado, I see him on the screen over there. This is a tournament champ now, the greatest announcer in the history of fishing, our friend JT Kenney. How are you, man?
Hey.
Wow, the greatest. Nobody's called me the greatest except for feeding lines of bullcrap most of the time. But you know what I mean? If you want to take that, I will do it right now.
Well, it's been offered, man, and I enjoy watching it, man. I love watching you over there. It's a lot of fun. You make it fun. You know, honestly, that's one of the really cool parts about listening to you.
Well, you know what? Honestly, and this might sound kind of funny, but it's 100% true. I just try to be myself, and I like to say I try really hard not to try, and I actually mean that. Like, instead of trying to be I just kind of say what I see and give my opinion, and maybe not all of it, but because some of it might tend to maybe ruffle some feathers, or in our terms of us might piss some people off. I've been known to do that a little bit, but hopefully not too much.
Nah, well, I understand you got to reel it in a little bit, and you're live. Are you operating on the delay? Do they have a beep button over there? Do they have to use
as
that?
far as I know, no. And I've only messed up and cussed one time. But here's what happened. instead of trying to brush it under the rug, I just was like, whoops, had a little slip of the tongue there. Just owned it and rolled on. And never heard anything about it. So it happens.
That we would expect nothing less from you, man.
Right. Like, I'm not going to cover it up, like, hey, it happens.
No, just own it. We were having this, we're talking about cold. We're going to be talking about cold fronts here and diving in here a little bit, but the question, you've become a Florida transplant. Do you own a winter coat anymore?
Actually, I have 2 mink coats that are lined on the inside with fleece. Yeah, I like to wear a lot. Anytime it gets under 87 degrees, I'll put it on them.
Your life.
Right? It's pretty pimp looking, actually. I could really maybe get into some other kind of career if I keep wearing that coat that much. But for right now, I'm gonna stick with the fishing stuff. But it's funny that we're doing this thing today and talking about cold fronts, and it's something that tournament fishing down here in Florida, and and obviously all over the country. Pete, you and I were out there in the trenches for years. But it's funny that we're talking about this today because we just came out of one of the heaviest cold fronts that we've had in Florida. We got talking about it so much that I actually went back and looked at some of this stuff. The worst cold front we've had since 2010. And we had Christmas Eve. Our high was like 48 and the low was 29 or 30. And then this year, Christmas Day, our high was 41. And now when I say 41, when you get inland in Florida, like in Kissimmee and Okeechobee and those places, the cold fronts are a little heavier there. Where I live over here, in the Palm Bay area, we're right on the coast. So the ocean kind of keeps everything a lot more moderate. Now, I'm talking about it was 41 for a high on Christmas Day over here. Our water temperatures at, all the lakes around here in Palm Bay is where I typically fish. We got Headwater, Stick Marsh, Garcia, Kenansville, all these lakes. And most of them typically run about the same water temperature from lake to lake because really they're not that far apart. As the crow flies, all those lakes are only a couple of miles apart. Now, it might take longer to drive to them just because of, the logistics of driving to the boat ramps. But they're all pretty close. And the water temperature was 68, 67 the day before Christmas Eve. The day or two after Christmas, water temperature was 53. And now I know that's not that cold for up north, but for down here, that's pretty cold. So, we're going to talk about cold fronts today, and we are coming out of one right here.
That was like that cyclone bomb that clobbered the whole country.
It was some kind of bomb, but it bombed down here too. I can tell you that.
It did. It reached all the way down to Palm Bay because you're down there. You're almost down to the tip at Palm Bay.
Yep. We're pretty far down on the East Coast. Yeah.
The headwaters, man. The last time we were down there, of course, this happens, right? We're filming and the wind blows at 300 miles an hour.
It might have been more than that. I remember that day.
But we were, and it was awesome. I still remember a punching fish you caught. Yeah. I caught my first Ned rig fish ever that day with your Magnum Ned rig.
Yep. There's a lot of little stuff like that. And if I remember that day, it was a cold front. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't that cold. But man, that wind was just relentless. I mean, just absolutely howling. But we went out there and we got it done, and we got it done in time to go have some chicken wings and a cold beer afterwards too. If I remember right.
That's right. We sure did. Well, do you remember the name of that place?
Siggy's was the name of that little bar. Yeah, that's Steph and I moved across town since then. We don't get to go there very much anymore. But yeah, we had a good time there. That was a fun day.
Yeah, that was great. The wind hammered, but at that time, the headwaters, I guess, was not
open yet. Correct.
And now it's up and running. And is it all what they say it is?
It absolutely is. There is no doubt in my mind. I think it's the best lake or one of the best lakes in the country. I'll be honest with you. When it first opened, it was the most ridiculous thing that you've ever experienced in your life. Like the first 2 days it was open, I just went around on my trolling motor on 80%, throwing a black 130 whopper plopper. and caught them and caught them and caught them. It was so stupid. So it's not quite that stupid anymore, because that when it opened, it was like August 10th and the water temperature was 88, 89 degrees. And I'm catching them at 2 p.m. on a whopper plopper. It's not quite that stupid anymore, but it's still amazing. And if you put it into perspective, I might be a little bit off on these numbers, but this is really close. But Florida has a program called the Trophy Catch Program, which you can register any fish that you catch over 8 pounds. So, and they kind of keep a running tally, and they're using all this to help, figure out how they can make Florida even a better fishing destination, even though it's where everybody wants to come in the wintertime and fish anyway, because we have some great big giant bass down here. But they're trying to make it even better. So they're accumulating all this knowledge and all this data by these people catching these fish and registering them. Well, in 2021, Headwaters had more fish over 8 pounds registered than every other lake in the state combined, except for the second place lake. Wow. So that goes to tell you, everybody can say, oh, it's great. Oh, that's, this, that, it's great. But we have actual numbers to back it up that it has more trophy catch. And that's not to say that everybody that catches an 8-pounder in Florida registers it in trophy catch. Of course they don't. I try to, but I've even caught a few and kind of just slipped my mind, forgot to do it. But there is a number that get done. And like I said, for you to say that one lake has got more registrations than every other lake except one other one combined, that's pretty good fishing.
That's phenomenal fishing. Because it's pretty impressive, because like, it's funny listening to JT talk here, it's like, I caught a couple 8-pounders, forgot to register them, like they're a dime a dozen. But our own Riz this year caught a 9.5-pounder on the Chesapeake just a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
Did you register that, Riz?
No, I don't believe Maryland has that program yet, but I wish they did. That's something that the Chesapeake could honestly probably benefit from. And if there was a little bit of fish study that went on there to see how many of those fish that we lug back to Northeast Marina week after week after week after week, if they stay there or if they go back out, or what the numbers of big trophy class fish like that actually are swimming around out there, I'd be interested to see it. And we've had the conversation before of
radio tracking. I want radio tracking. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I want to know. JT, you grew up fishing around here.
I did. And I've got a really interesting little story to tell going along with what he was just saying. So I grew up in the western end of Maryland. Now I fished the upper bay. I fished the lower Potomac a lot. But where I grew up was up in western Maryland around Deep Creek Lake. And that's really where I cut my teeth, up there. So interesting story. So down there in the tidal water of Maryland, where you guys fish a lot, bass season is open all year long. It's just before June 15th. They have to be 15 inches to keep. After June 15th, they're 12 inches. Well, on the inland lakes in Maryland, we had it where you couldn't have a bass tournament. There was no keeping bass until June 15th. So every year up at Deep Creek Lake on June 15th, didn't matter if it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, didn't matter. There was a tournament, always, every year. And one of those tournaments that year, I don't remember what year it was. It would have been mid-90s probably, maybe late 90s. There was one of those tournaments. I think it was on like a Wednesday. And I was fishing. I was back in this little cove, and there's one dock back in this cove and a couple of little of the like the bank grass and like that willow grass. There was a couple little points of willow grass, and that's all that's in this cove. And I catch one about 3 3/4, right? And at that time, Deep Creek has definitely gone through its ups and downs, like a lot of lakes do. But at that time, it was kind of in one of those lower, places where a 3 3/4 pounder was a big fish. Like, you didn't see a whole lot of them at that time. And it had a bunch of those, like we call it, had a bunch of those tattoos on it. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like those little black spotches.
Yeah.
Well, we used to see that a lot on the Potomac River, but you never, ever saw those on Deep Creek Lake, like ever. So my point being is that on this Wednesday afternoon, this is a really unique bass for that lake at that time. It was a 3 3/4 pounder with tattoos all over it. So anyway, so I weigh that fish in. And once again, this is either a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So I weigh that fish in that tournament. And then probably, so it would have been the following Saturday night, we had a night tournament. And I found myself back, and it's probably 6 miles, I would say, from where I caught that fish to the state park where the tournament weigh-in was. So, of course, I weighed the fish in, whatever it was, on Tuesday or Wednesday. Saturday night in that same cove, I caught that fish out from underneath that boat dock. In that same cove, 30 feet to the left of that boat dock, there was a little point of that willow grass. Dude, I caught that same fish like 4 days later and hauled him up there and weighed him in again. There's no doubt it was the same fish. Like I said, there's no tattoos on fish.
And how far did he go?
At Deep Creek. It was, I didn't measure it, but I mean, it probably took 5 minutes at wide open, to get back there.
6 miles.
That's 5 miles.
I mean, like I said, like I didn't get a protractor out and measure it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's 5 minutes at wide open.
Damn, 4 days, 5 miles.
There is no doubt in my mind that was the same fish, like 100%. Like I fished up there all the time at that point, and that was the only tattooed bass I'd ever caught on Deep Creek Lake to that point. And like I said, and at that point, a 3 3/4 was a big one. Some years after that, a 3 3/4 at Deep Creek wasn't that big anymore, but at that time, it was a big one. So that was a super unique fish, and like I guarantee it was the same fish. And I caught it 30 feet from where I caught it 4 days before.
That's crazy.
Wow, that's a big travel. And I know in the current situations like we have around here, they travel fast and far, but we lose them. And this is where I want the tracking. This is where I need help. Because we catch the crap out of them at ice out, and we catch big ones, and then they just disappear and we lose them. And then all of a sudden, come April and May, here they come, and all these big tanks show up, and they're coming in to spawn. I guess they're just nomadic. I figured, with Mega Live and all their forward facing, we're going to figure this out better now. But they got to be roaming with those striper schools out there, don't you think, JT?
Yep, I certainly do. And one of the things with that I've said a lot in probably the last 12 months, and I mean this wholeheartedly, is that it is a super exciting time to be super involved in this sport right now, whether if you work in this industry, if you're a fan, because we are debunking a lot of stuff that we thought was gospel and the major player of it is forward facing sonar, seeing that a lot of these fish now when I'm saying debunking stuff, I'm saying that, not all the fish do exactly what we thought they did. You know what I mean? Like some of them do what we thought, but we're finding out there's a whole nother group of fish that live in these lakes and rivers that don't do anything like we thought. Like in one instance is like, every fish uses contour lines like a highway to get back into the creeks to spawn. No, they don't. We're learning that they just swim out across wherever the shad swim. That's where they go. Like a portion of the fish just do that. And we're learning that. And it's awesome. And another thing that's really in my mind, I like to use the word debunked, but in my mind has debunked a lot of stuff is where I work at Major League Fishing. Every fish is documented, how deep it was caught, what time it was caught, what it was caught on, so we have an actual rolling database of factual information.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to be able to look and go back at that stuff. And you just you start looking at some of these trends of when the fish bit and just all kinds of different things. And you're like, wow, some of the stuff that I thought was totally factual. Now I've come to find out that it's not. But like I said, I think it's awesome. It's exciting to be in a time when you're finding out the true fish behavior or more of the true fish behavior than what you thought. So I don't know. I like that kind of stuff. I think it's a cool deal.
I like it too. And I'm in, one of the cool things, and it kind of goes along with what you're saying, is we're finding guys that are thriving in the in-between spots because of the forward facing. right? You know, we would back in the day, right? We'd have 2 or 3 high percentage points or grass patches, and we'd run them. You know, we'd hit that spot, next spot, next spot. Well, it seems like that a lot of these guys are winning derbies now. They're fishing that high percentage spot, and then they're trolling to the next high percentage spot using forward facing and picking off giants that we would never ever have made a cast for.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it, and it's just opening up so many more windows, and also going to show you that all the fish aren't doing the same things at the same times. And speaking of that, one of the biggest things that I've learned since I've been, you know, obviously I've watched every minute now of every MLF event that there's been, and barring a little bathroom break every once in a while, but other than that, you know, I've watched every single minute of it. The interesting thing to me, and I actually saw it back while I was fishing, but I didn't realize what was going on until watching the real-time scoring with MLF. And this has just blown my mind. But so just take, for instance, you're running down the lake, first morning of the tournament, and you look over there and you see 2 guys, and you know they're good guys, right? You know that those are guys that catch them. And you see these 2 guys over there, and you're thinking, man, I practiced over there, dude. That looks right, but I didn't get a bite. You know what I mean? What they're starting there, like, come on, give me a break. You know what I mean? And you come back in, and you're happy with yourself. You're maybe in the top 20 or whatever. And those 2 jokers that started on the place that you practiced and didn't get a bite, they're sitting in 3rd and 7th. And you're like, how in the world? I never got a bite there. I'm getting ready to tell you I'm going to drop some fact bombs right now that really blew my mind, and that fish bite sometimes and sometimes they don't. And I know you're going to say, oh, we all knew that. No, I'm talking about real-time data that shows that fish bite sometimes and sometimes they don't. And what I've learned is that if you're out there on whether you're fishing a little Tuesday nighter and you get to go out on Monday night and practice for a few hours, or you're in a national tournament, Bassmaster Elite Series or MLF or whatever, if you feel like that looks right, you need to go back 2 hours later and try it again, or go back 4 hours later and try it again, because it's amazing to look at that data that we get from the catch rates on MLF to see, like, so we got 40 guys out on the water, right? This is just a for instance. This isn't an actual story, but just say for the first hour and a half, there's 9 fish caught. In the next hour and a half, there's 116 caught. And I'm talking about guys down by the dam, guys up in the river, just the entire catch rate. It's just like the whole lake is off for a few hours, and then every fish in the lake's biting for a few hours. And then it slows down a little bit, maybe moderates, and then they bite really good again for a few hours, and then it just kind of falls off. Now, I would love to be able to figure out what that is. And I can tell you 100% factually as well that it's not the moon. It doesn't. I have looked at now, but with that being said,
wait a minute. We got Marty coming in to dispute.
Yeah, he
comment
will,
right
trust me. He would debate me to the end on this. But so here's the funny thing, though. It might actually be the moon, but how we determine it, and when I say we, I'm referring to whoever puts that feeding table out, like the dude that writes the Farmer's Almanac or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like how they determine when is going to be the feeding window and when is not going to be the feeding window, that's skewed. It's not right. So I'm going to sit here and admit that it could be the moon that makes those feeding windows open and close. Very well could be. But how it is calculated right now, it's wrong because you can just look at the data and it's wrong.
It's interesting.
Like it's like a broken clock. Like once out of a 6-day tournament, it'll be right on the money. And everybody that likes the moon phases will be like, see, I told you. And I'm like, what about the other 5 days when it wasn't? Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Well, guys, if you have questions for JT, hit us up on our IM board at bashu.tv, and Jocelyn will get you passed over. By the way, we were doing a Facebook like and share contest.
like us and share us over there on that feed. And we're going to be giving away a cool prize today. One of our cool Nichols lure packs is going to be given away at that prize. And pay attention, because we're going to be asking a question based on what we talked about today. Is that the same prize for that too?
It's the same prize, but we're adding a little bit to it with the Bass U hat and a face shield.
Awesome.
Nice.
I know. Do you have a question for JT?
We do. One of our subscribers, actually multiple, want to know, is that data from MLF available to the public to analyze, or is it just MLF?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm sure I don't know. I'd have to find out. Like, that's a great question. I really don't know. I know it comes to me in an email at the end of the day, every day after every thing. So, when I'm studying for the next day's, commentating for the next day, I got, it just comes in. I don't know if there's a way you can get on the, you know what? There is. There's some kind of score tracker app or something that you can get that has all of that stuff on there. Now, it might not have it broken down into, like, there was this many fish caught on this hour and there was this many fish caught on this hour. You might have to go down and, look at each score and see what time it is and maybe create your own little pie chart or graph or whatever if you want to do it like that. But yeah, you can get on that score tracker deal and see all that. And it has all the information, how deep the fish was caught, what it was caught on, exactly what time it was caught. Because when they enter all that into the score tracker, so it's on there. So yeah, there absolutely is. Now, I don't know the exact app and all that stuff, and I probably should, but I don't. But I know it's out there because I remember us talking about it on air.
Let me ask you this: as a tournament guy, you've been successful here. You're watching this a lot more now, but how would you change your fishing, learning what you're knowing now about these bite windows?
The particular question you just asked on the bite window, how would that change my fishing? Honestly, would be kind of exactly what I said. Was if I saw something, and I don't care if you're talking about, pad stems in the pre-spawn, or if you're talking about the ledge with the perfect current flow over top of it in the post-spawn, or anything in between. Just when you know what the deal is going on a lake, like you're like, okay, this is what they're doing. And you roll up on a spot in practice and you're looking around and you roll up on a spot and you're like, this is it. You know what I mean? Like, you just know this is equal. This is exactly what those other places were. This is exactly where they should be. This has all the ingredients, and you fish it and you don't get a bite. I would fish that area multiple more times before I completely write it off. That would probably be the number one thing that I've learned, along with, and here's a really good one, and this doesn't have to do with ledges or offshore spot. This is talking about, like, say you're in what we like to call a junk fishing tournament, where you're just kind of bouncing around. You might be catching a few off boat docks, and you might be catching a few. You got one little shallow ledge you're catching a few off of, and you're just kind of junking it up. Repeating the same piece of cover that you caught a fish off of previously in the day, it should be done a lot more than I think anglers do. And I'm going to give you the perfect for instance of why I think this. I've seen this play over multiple times, and I'm talking about whether it's a brush pile, out in front of a boat ramp. But my point is, it's going to be isolated cover. So whether it's a brush pile on a point, or whether it's a boat dock, or like a big lay down, not like a little stick lay down that a fish should be spawning on. I'm talking about a big lay down where like a couple bass could live in it. Hitting pieces of cover like that multiple times in the day. I can't tell you how many times that I've watched MLF, and we have 16 cameras going at any one time. But I also have another screen, so I'm watching the 16 guys with cameras. But I have another screen that has all 40 guys that are on the water per day, and I'm watching their GPS locations, and I can see where they are. And I can't tell you how many times, and once again, this is just another for instance, but say there's a stretch of 5 boat docks, okay? And say the second to last one has a red roof. And I'll see a guy pull in and fish those 5 boat docks. He catches one off the second to last boat dock, the one with the red roof. And it doesn't have anything to do with the red roof. That's just for identification purposes. He takes off. An hour later, another guy pulls in, fishes the same stretch of 5 docks. He catches a 3-pounder off the red roof dock, the second to last one. He takes off. 10 minutes later, another angler pulls in. He catches a 2-pounder off the boat dock with the red, and all these guys fished all 5 docks. They all caught one off the same dock. They all probably think they're the only one that's fishing it, and they caught the only bass underneath of it. And, and it's just amazing to see how many pieces, of cover, how many fish can actually be on that. And I'm not saying sit there and pull up to that red boat dock and just fish it all day long. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying whatever makes that be either a feeding station or it's just a place where a lot of fish live. But I haven't seen where, like I said, where somebody will sit there and just keep fishing it and fishing it and fishing the same dock or the same lady. I haven't seen that often, but very much I've seen where guys can, the guys that don't even realize they're fishing behind somebody pull in and catch fish off the same piece of cover. So I think what I would do if I was in a tournament situation like that, say I know at 2:15 I have to start running to get back to weigh in. At 1:15 I would stop my day and I would go back and retrace every piece of isolated cover I caught a fish off of all the way back to the boat ramp. I think that's something that I would definitely, because it's amazing how many guys catch a fish during the day off the same piece of cover. It happens a lot.
How often is it the same bait, or is it guys come in present a different bait on that same piece of cover?
Most of the time it'll be the same category of bait.
Gotcha.
I'm not saying that every single guy caught one, on a Nichols pulsator half-ounce spinnerbait and JT's chartreuse shad. No. But everybody might have caught them on a spinnerbait or a vibe jig. You know what I'm saying? Or they might have all been caught on some kind of plastic. You know what I mean? Where one guy might have, flipped a pack of craw up there and the next guy flipped a worm under there, whatever. But a lot of times it's the same. And, that's kind of, you guys know how it is. You guys are in the sport, fans of the sport. You see that, in these big multi-day national professional tournaments, that 75% of the field's all throwing the same thing anyway, the same category.
Right.
Because that's what's going on. It's a pitching bite or it's a cranking bite or it's a vibe jig bite. And you see most of them are doing it. So
how important is it, do you think, to make small bait modification, not actually physically small, but make little modifications to your bait? Say when you're hitting that piece of cover for the second, third time throughout the day, is it a good thing to do to switch up from a straight white spinnerbait to either adding some chartreuse or changing your blade colors? Is that something that's going to trigger that next bite because the fish has already seen the bait you presented the first time?
That would be, hopefully the fish that is, because at the regular tournaments, we're not putting them back in a major league fishing event. So hopefully the fish is in my live well. He isn't going to get to see it again.
Right.
But that would all be a fluid decision during the day. If you think the bait you're throwing, you're freaking dialed. You're every cast when I throw this bait, I know they're chewing the paint off this thing. No, I'm throwing exactly the same thing. But if it's one of those days where I'm kind of piecemealing my day together, sure, I might, like I said, I would stick with the same thing. If I pitched a pack of crawl up under there and caught one, this time when I go back, I might pitch a jig up under, but I would stay in the same. I wouldn't try to throw a toplifter under there,
right.
Caught one on a worm the time before. So yeah, I would, like I said, if I didn't think I was super dialed, I'd probably change. And if I thought I was dialed, I'd go right in with exactly the same thing.
What do you got, Joss?
We have a lot of questions, actually. This is a 2-part question. Johnny wants to know, what's your go-to bait on the cold front in Florida? And he also asked, how do you, wait, I lied. Oh, and do you recommend a line weight change?
Let's start with your go-to bait during the cold front in Florida. That's a great question, because those Florida strain are the most difficult fish on the planet. I think we should probably get rid of them, but they're difficult in a cold front, man. What is your go-to?
Well, first off, I want to give a shout out to John Nee. He bought one of my boats a long.
He did mention that.
Yeah,
he said in 2016 it was his best Ranger he bought.
Awesome. I'm glad he was happy with that. I remember I fished a tournament at Lake Champlain, and on the way down, I went to New Jersey and dropped it off, and hadn't spent a whole lot of time in New Jersey, and I pulled up and tried to pump my own gas, and I got chastised for it. And I've been scared of New Jersey ever since.
You didn't get arrested.
You're right. I mean, my whole life I didn't know. I've been pumping my gas for 45 years. All of a sudden,
The real question was, did you enjoy getting your gas pumped for you?
No, I felt violated, to be honest with you. I don't know. It wasn't the first time that day I felt violated. So anyway, there's a lot of different things that can work during a cold front. But when I say a lot, I'm not talking about like 30, you know what I mean? And also, before the keyboard warriors jump out, everybody fingers down for a second. When I'm talking about this kind of stuff, I'm talking in generalities. I'm talking about what happens 70 or 80% of the time. And everything in fishing, there's always an outlier. There's always going to be that one time where that guy said, well, big cold front came through and I caught every one of them on a 12-inch ribbon tail worm. Of course you did, bub. There's always an outlier. But when we're talking, and especially this stuff, like I like to, with everybody, all the subscribers and everybody in the Bass View family, I'm talking about the stuff that works proven over and over again. There's going to be outliers for everything, but this is just the stuff that's proven for me. One thing, if you have a lot of vegetation around during a cold front, punching's a big deal. I like to throw a Nichols JT Kenney Grass Wizard jig if I can get away with a 1 ounce weight and still be efficient, because I think your hookup ratio on a jig is out of this world. If I have to go heavier than that, I'll go to 1.5 ounces and a Trocar TK 133 hook, and just a bare plastic bait. I really like a net bait pocket slim, works really good. But there's that. And then the next couple of baits I'll go over real quick. I'm not going to try to take up our whole day with this thing, but a lipless crankbait, a spinnerbait, and a vibe jig are also really good baits to use during a cold front. And why I say that is that during a cold front, the fish, obviously, as we all know, they kind of slow down a little bit. They're not as aggressive. Their strike zone's a little smaller. And you almost have to get them, and we use this term a lot, you have to get them to react to something. So crawling a worm along the bottom is something that fish actually has to go down and want to bite that bait. Whereas when a lipless crankbait that's making a lot of racket anyway, so fish is probably sitting there. I'm assuming like he's got a headache because the pressure's changed really quick. It's not because of vodka. That's the guy that's throwing the bait. That's what his headache's from. This is from the pressure, So that fish, like, he doesn't want to go after anything. So when a lipless crankbait goes right by his face, like you and I go like this, like something gets right in our face and it's making a lot of racket. Well, fish can't do that. God put in that fish an innate, just his idea is just chomp, instead of like, he's not going to get his little fin up there and try to get it out of his face. You know what I mean? He's just going to bite it because his mouth is, what he has to do. So that's why these like spinner baits and lipless crankbaits and vibe jigs, it almost goes against your thought process originally. You're like, I need it low and slow and all this stuff. Where that agitation factor of a jig, or not a jig, excuse me, but a lipless crankbait, a spinnerbait, or a vibe jig, it's just to me, during a cold front with those three baits that are moving baits, I'll impart a lot of action into it. And Pete, you and I have fished a lot of tournaments before where both of us have done well on that technique. Is instead of throwing a lipless crankbait out, just reeling it in. I mean, I'm popping it, hopping it, letting it flutter, popping it again. I mean, I'm juking and jiving. I mean, I'm swimming that thing, making it do a lot of stuff. And so many times, to me, in my mind, I swear that's what makes it happen. Like that lipless crankbait comes up and you pop it and it flutters and then you flare it again and it's right in front of him. He just, and just, out of spite or whatever you want to call it, he just hits it. So to me, those are like the four main things: the jig or a punch rig in heavy vegetation, or I'm going lipless crankbait, Nichols pulsator spinnerbait, or some kind of vibe jig, whatever your favorite vibe jig is.
That's great. That's great stuff. And I'm still confused. Remember when they told us to cut our jigs off when we went to Florida?
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know.
Who told you that?
Every local,
Yep.
you'd go down there. Like my first trips to Florida, keep your jigs at home for whatever reason. They don't bite them here. It's all soft plastics, and
I think they were trying to
mislead me.
Yeah,
You
think so.
Has the forage changed, or did we just buy into the doc talk back then?
I think we bought into it, and you know the funny thing is there was a little flutter of a jig thing years and years ago, and everybody just swept it under the rug. But I can't even remember the angler's name, but he was one of that bunch that ran with his last name might have been Daniels, but not Steve Daniels from Florida, but he ran with like Todd Otten and Chris Bumgardner and that
Craig
group.
Daniels?
Did he won a tournament on Okeechobee a long time ago? I think it was Craig Daniels.
I think
on a jig, and everybody just wrote it off like, he must have been on so many fish that he just won anyway. No, they were biting a jig.
Yeah.
You know, but he won it on a jig, or maybe he finished second or something. But I remember thinking, man, that guy caught him on a jig. You're not supposed to catch him on a jig down here. Apparently he was ahead of the game, but it just got swept under the rug. It was almost like some kind of misinformation deal from the United States government. Like it was a big deal. It just got swept under the rug. Like it was amazing. And then nobody was using jigs in Florida again. And it was like everybody was like, did that happen, or did we wait? Okay, well I guess we're just back to soft plastics again. And then all of a sudden, like it finally came out, you know, like years down the road, you know, Ish won a big tournament down there. And obviously Ish is one of the greatest shallow water fishermen in the world anyway. But Ish wins a big tournament down there. And then it comes out, and then you got Brandon Medlock, and now all the locals, now that's all they throw is a jig. And heck, I designed the JT Kenney Grass Wizard jig from Nichols just because of that. You know what I mean? And now I throw this one all the time. I mean, so it just kind of, it was like a weird deal, but it's out of the bag now.
Oh man, it just goes to show, man. I tried not to listen too. I'm like, man, I'm a jig fisherman. I'm throwing my jig. I don't care what you say, but it creeps into your head after like the second hour without a bite with your jig. You're like, man, I guess they're right. I guess they won't bite a jig, and you put it down, and you got victimized.
Sure did.
What is the best way to not buy into doc talk?
Just don't listen.
Oh, that's a great question. Hey, Keith, do you have a method? Do you run from doc talk?
Well, JT just doesn't try.
I try really hard not to try. No, because I like fishing. You know what I mean? Like, and I love talking about fishing, and I like fishing, so I have to hear the doc talk. You know what I mean? Like it's like, you know, that's a big deal to me. Like I love sitting at the boat ramp at the end of the day, leaning against my truck, drinking a beer, talking to the guys about what they caught. Like that's part of it to me. It's part of the family of us as bass fishermen, or just anglers in general, or outdoorsmen for that matter. Like just hanging out and talking about it afterwards is half the fun. So
do you ever just say to them like, you're crazy? You don't
one of my very favorite lines is when somebody starts telling me a story and I can tell it's all of a sudden it's gotten too far fetched. I just like to say, yeah, that tells well, but that really didn't happen. And then they don't know whether to think I'm an asshole or if I'm a nice guy. They don't know how to take that. And like, I like swimming in awkward. It's kind of a thing for me that I really enjoy. And that's one of my ways that I kind of get it out there.
That's so funny.
That's awesome. I've learned over the years, like if it doesn't make any sense, I just try to block it out. But it's hard. It creeps in though. You know, I mean,
I gotta interrupt you when it doesn't make any sense. So do you realize, and I love to tell this story, but before the Alabama rig got popular, about 9 months before it got popular, Andy Poss walked up to me in a Walmart, handed me one of those things and said, dude, you got to try this. This is going to be the next biggest thing. Pete, you just said it. It didn't make sense in my mind. So honest as I'm sitting here, honest engine, walking out of the Walmart, I threw that Alabama rig right in the trash can as I walked.
Get out of here.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's 100%.
Well, Pete had a chatterbait in his boat for 4 years.
Walked in my truck, and 9 months later, I'm bending hangers around trying to make an Alabama rig. Here I am. Well, hey, that's what happens.
I'm guilty. Like Rich said, I was down in Florida doing a media junket, and the guy gave me a handful of chatterbaits.
and I threw them on the bottom of my boat. They sat there for about 2 months
Till they got rusted.
And never made a cast with them. It was like a year later. Brian Thrift wins.
Yeah, Brian Thrift won everything.
Wins again, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'll try it.
Yeah.
I said it's still stupid lure. It doesn't work. It's got a dumb lip. It's got no weed guard. It's dumb. And then I was down in Florida, and I'm in a boat, and it's cold front, just like you said, a vibrating jig. And my partner, commences to just unloading them on them in my boat. And I'm like, I got some. They're rusty, but I tied one on, and I caught 50 bass that day.
Wow.
And I still thought it was a joke. I still thought it was a fluke. And it still took me, because it still took me like another 6 months before all of a sudden the light bulb went off. And dude, I did this. I'm going to admit it again. I did the same thing with the Senko. I'm like, this is dumb. It looks like a pencil. This doesn't do anything. Why would anybody ever think to throw this dumb thing? And I got burned with that too. So,
so just do the opposite of what your mind thinks.
I know
it happens to everybody. Everybody's got their thing. Mine was the Ned rig. I refused to throw that for years, and then the very first time I threw it, 3-pound smallie, first cast. I'm like, game changer.
It's complex, because I tried it. Like, I think, oh man, I'm at the Bass University. I've heard the greatest anglers. I know how to dissect the BS. I can cut right through it, and obviously I cannot. But it's a lot of fun. That dock talk is great. But you're right. I like what you said about that. That is the fun part, is to just hanging out, listening to the lies and the deceit.
But you have to learn how to pick those little pieces out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Rusty said that the Bass University is dock talk, but on steroids.
Dock talk on steroids. It's the stuff that works.
Exactly.
The best is when you do something kind of off the wall and it works, and you're telling people and they don't believe you anyway, so you can just tell them straight up truth. And like, you just see their eyes like, shut up, you're lying.
Sure, that really happened. Yeah.
JT's never going to shoot us that straight at the dock. There's no way he caught him on. Nah, he's got to be lying. He's using something else.
The only time he ever tells the truth is on Bass U.
Yes, that's right.
Hey, by the way, I want you to check out JT's seminar, Temperature Trends, at bassu.tv. That's a great seminar. As a matter of fact, one of our students just reached out to me, and he was heading to Florida, and he's pulling up all of your stuff to get schooled up on what he's going to be facing down there, and just raved about that seminar in particular, JT, as one that helped him a lot.
Well, and that's, since we're talking cold fronts today, it's, I don't want to sit here and reiterate the whole seminar, but to give the people that are watching us today, to give them just a little piece of it, is that so many times up north, you got, Pete, you're in New Jersey, fish the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast a lot. In the springtime when the water temperature hits 52 degrees, they're probably up on the bank. They're not spawning, but you know what I mean? They're getting up, they're moving around, they're doing their thing. In the Southeast and Florida in particular, it doesn't really work like that. It's much more of a mild climate down here. So the things that really influence fish behavior in the Southeast is so much more of a trend. Whereas if whatever the water temperature is, and then it gets cold, okay, and let's just say the water temperature goes down to 45 degrees, and then, which is pretty cold I'd be really cold in Florida, but in Georgia and stuff, it gets down to that sometimes. When it starts to go back up, you will have, and I have no problem with saying this, you will have an explosion of fish of activity. And my perfect example, and I love to give this example when I'm talking about this, is Chris Lane of the Lane royalty fishing family. Yeah. He won a tournament on Lake Okeechobee, and funny enough, Bobby, his brother, and one of my best friends, Bobby finished second. They both caught them on skinny dippers. The reaction invasion, the first one of the boot tail, everybody makes one now. Berkeley makes one, everybody makes one. But they were both throwing skinny dippers. They finished first and second in 58-degree water, buzzing it on the surface. And Florida bass were coming up and doosh, doosh, doosh. I mean, they blew the tournament away. They beat all the rest of us like we weren't even there. Nobody would have ever thought to do that, but this taught me this most valuable lesson, and then I took it and had success with it too. But why those Florida fish were just crushing that skinny dipper on the top, bubbling, making a bubble trail with it at 57 degrees is because 4 days ago it was 45 degrees. So the water temperature had gone up 12 degrees just because it wasn't at a high number. It was 12 degrees higher than what it was 4 or 5 days ago. So that had those fish acting the fool at 57-degree water, which 57-degree water is normally about what a cold front puts the water to in Florida, maybe 55. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you have to look at the trend, whether it's going down or whether it's going up. You have to look at that trend instead of the actual digits, and don't make your decision off of digits. And the first, say Pete, say you're coming to Florida, and just for fun, you're gonna come down Fish Headwaters for 3 days because it's awesome. You're gonna stay at my house. We're gonna have some beers in the evening. We're gonna have us a good time. First day, you go.
By the way, book that, JT. On my way.
The first day you get to Headwaters, you go put your boat in the water, put your trolling motor in, and the water temperature is 61 degrees. You immediately, in your mind, have ideas of how to catch fish at 61 degrees. But to me, now knowing the importance of the trends of water temperature, I want to know what it was 6 days before my first day of fishing, 5 days before, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, and 1 day. And I want to see if it's on an uptrend or if it's on a downtrend. And that's how in the Southeast you have to make decisions, techniques, and lure-specific decisions. And all that you can find, obviously, right here on Bass University. All you guys that are subscribers, you go back and see whether it's warming up or cooling off. This whole thing I'm talking about, I'm not even getting into techniques of how to catch them. I'm just telling you how to pick the techniques. Is you want to know what happened 5 or 6 days up to your first day of fishing and what the water temperature is then. It'll make a huge difference.
Excellent advice. And guys, if you're not subscribed, you got access to all this stuff. We have an awesome promotion. It's $69 for a 6-month subscription, and you get this cool Nichols Lures pack, which we're going to bust open right now to see what's inside. While I'm open, I got to ask you this, because you brought him up, Bobby Lane. How crazy were you when he weighed that fish for the third time and it went 2 pounds?
That was crazy when he won Red Crest. That was it still gets me freaked out because I was sitting there at the desk up on that stage.
Yep.
And of course, don't get me wrong. He beat out Luke and they were all really close right there, right? So I'm buddies with all those guys. So however it would have fallen, but Bobby and I roomed together for years, and just to see him win and to see him win like that, that was absolutely amazing. I mean, that's what the Major League Fishing format was. That's what it was supposed to do. That's it worked right there. That was, it felt like the sport I love, the sport I've grown up in, it's been my whole life. It actually felt at that moment like when I called it a sport, it actually was. You know what I mean? Like it went down to the buzzer, went down to the wire, it went down to that, and it worked out. And of course, like I said, Bobby's one of my best friends, so I was super stoked for him. But it was cool to see all that kind of go down. And obviously now, I don't know if, get into too much of this conversation, but, obviously now MLF has decided, well, MLF didn't really decide. The anglers decided that they wanted to go back to a 5-fish format. And if that's what they wanted to do, that's what they wanted to do. Personally, I'm pretty disappointed about that. And when I talk about this kind of stuff, these are my opinions. This has nothing to do with MLF. I don't work for MLF. I'm just an independent contractor. I'm not speaking on their behalf. It has nothing to do. But just me personally, I'm disappointed that they went back to a 5-fish limit. And not that I think it's bad. I think it will help endemically, the people that are in this industry. It's just it's a 5-fish place, and a lot of people didn't like all the fish count, and I think it's going to help within the industry. But the whole mission statement when we started this the MLF, when everybody left their posts wherever they were at FLW or Bass, and we all went and decided we're going to do this thing. The whole mission statement was to truly make it a sport, make it really big, make it way bigger than it's ever been before. And in my place of work in the MLF studio, there's about 20 people that work out there. And this is where it really hit me, because I was a big 5-fish fan. I'm 5-fish. Like, that's, what I liked and everything. Just all about it. I didn't really understand at the beginning all the fish count thing myself. I didn't know why we weren't doing 5-fish, but it didn't matter. I don't make decisions. So I talked to all the people that work in the studio out in Tulsa, and they say, they're all awesome people. They're all cool. We go have a beer after work, and talk and stuff. And they all had their opinions when we started covering the pro circuit, which is the former FLW tour when MLF bought them. And we also cover the Bass Pro Tour. So, and all these guys that I work with, the sound guys, the producers, the executive producers, the director, the graphics guy, all these guys, there's like 20 of them that work out there in the studio. They all reiterate how they love the Bass Pro Tour and they really don't like watching the pro circuit. And I'm like, well, why? Because I kind of like the pro circuit because it's, 5-fish. Well, all these guys are all career broadcasters, right? In the broadcasting industry. They're not in front of the camera, they're behind it, but they're all in there, right? So they all say that it just doesn't, the other one doesn't feel like a sport. They said that the Bass Pro Tour feels like a sport. And I go, well, what do you mean? How there's still somebody winning. And they're like, yeah, but you don't find out who wins until like 2 hours after the show's over. They go, I've never done a basketball game and I didn't know who won until 2 hours after it. And the other guy says, well, I've never covered a NASCAR race and didn't know who won until 2 hours after it. And then another guy chimes in and he goes, yeah, and you know what else is stupid about it? And once again, this is just me reiterating stories. This isn't my opinion. But he said, you know what else is stupid about it? He goes, why when you score 5 times that your next score has to be a better score than the score of one other one? He goes, when a team makes 5 baskets in a basketball game, the 6th basket doesn't have to be further back than the 5th one, and it counts more, and they take one away. They go, you just keep scoring. If you can score 10 touchdowns, score 10 touchdowns in a football game. Don't limit me to only 5 touchdowns and tell me which ones are the ones that mean more than another one. They go, so every time you make a basket, it counts. Right. And I was like, son of a bitch, you're right. Like, and it was like, boom, like it hit me. Like, and then all of a sudden I was like, it does feel like more of a sport.
And those guys are the non-endemics, the outsiders, the ones that are not really in fishing. And us as anglers, 5-fish makes perfect sense. But to try to explain culling to somebody that's never fished a tournament before,
they don't know what you're talking about.
I had no idea.
True story. Yes.
So my point is, I think it's going to help MLF endemically within the industry. I think it is going to help them. I think it is losing sight of the initial mission statement, which is to make the sport bigger. And I think what happened is it didn't grow as fast as everybody on the MLF side either thought was going to or was told it was going to, but it was growing. Like we get to see the numbers. Like it was every year it was growing. It wasn't growing at this rocket ship rate that everybody thought it was going to go, but at 100%, we were getting more and more, and we are getting more and more viewers every year. We had more viewers in 20 than we had in 19. We had more viewers in 21 than we had in 20, and more in 22 than in 21. Like it was growing, and I'm just disappointed that we didn't push through and keep going and see if we really can make it bigger than it's ever been before. Like, I just feel like we just got back to a safe place. You know what I mean? Where everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to work and it's going to go through. And like I said, and it is going to help in the short term. I guarantee it's going to help. There's going to, we'll probably gain back some of the viewers that didn't like, all the fish count and, this and that will help. But it just, it's like a little bite here instead of a big bite way down the road.
That's what an interesting perspective. Never really thought about it like that. I like watching it all. I'll be honest. I mean, I'm a fan. If live's on, I don't care if they're fishing for 5 or every fish counts. I'm fanatical about it. I'm out in my boat and I have live on at my feet, with my iPad or something, and I'm watching the tournament going on while I'm trying to catch a fish.
I do too, but most of the time it's on the same thing. It's just this picture of my buddy that just like comes over his rods and falls in the water on live. That's I just keep replaying that one instead of watching all these other ones.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. I'm not familiar with that. I don't know where you're going with that, JT.
That was one of the greatest things on live I've ever seen. It was like, is he okay? Okay, he's okay.
Oh, good Lord.
Classic.
I know. That's crazy. My friend Sean wrote a theme song. I even got a theme song now because I fell in the water.
Nice.
When you fall in like that, you're supposed to win, JT. What happened? How come I didn't pull the win off?
You're close. You're getting there.
Yeah.
I got on my YouTube, on one of my YouTube deals, I've got 4 different camera angles of me at Stick Marsh one day, and I'm hung up on a stump and I'm spinning the boat around like this, trying to get unhung. And I spun the boat just a little too far and hit another stump and went, went off it. Luckily, we had 4 cameras running at the same time. So there's like 4 different angles of me just.
I wish we had other angles.
I'll be searching YouTube later.
Yeah.
It's on there.
You're lucky you
didn't get
nailed on a stump.
Yeah, right.
That's dangerous. Or eaten by an alligator.
You're lucky you didn't get impaled by rebar.
Yeah, I did.
Alligators won't bother you.
I dodged the rebar. I was talking with somebody about the MLF format change. I forget where I was at, but they were saying they did some statistical research on the the winners, and they backtracked to see if they would have won with a 5 best, and it looks like they said most of the time the guy would have won either way.
It was about a little more than 80% of the time.
Is that right?
Wow.
Yep. And when you go down through the top 10, there would just be maybe 1 or 2 spots might have gone like this.
Okay.
It's going to be really the same. Now, that is not true of the 2019 season when it was a 1 pound minimum. That is not true. But from 2020 through 2022, that is 100% factual information.
I thought this might be like a Jacob Wheeler or Dustin Cannell rule, trying to put the brakes on those guys.
There might have been some people that voted for it that maybe thought that. I don't know. I'm just saying, there might have been some people that thought that. Dude,
those dudes are going to catch them regardless of the format.
I don't care if it's 1 fish, 2 fish, 5 fish, 10 fish. It doesn't matter.
Dr. Seuss JT.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I don't want any green eggs and ham, though. I don't like green eggs. I like eggs. Don't get me wrong. Ostrich eggs are amazing, and so are duck eggs. I'm on a duck egg kick right now. But I think that Jacob Wheeler, Dustin Cannell, Ott, just those guys that are just they're going to beat you regardless. Whatever they're in that stage of their career right now where they're on top of their game and they don't think about anything else. Every thought in their head is how I'm going to catch the next bass or what's my strategy going into this next tournament. Like, they don't go home and relax with the family. They might go home with their family. But trust me, I understand. Like, in the back of their head, it's just constantly, what can I do? where, I mean, I was never like that. And maybe that's why I never, was that hyper successful as Dustin Kenney, you know what I'm saying? Or Wheeler or these guys that are top of the sport right now. But that's how they are. Like I see it when I'm talking to them. Like they're so thinking about the next thing, the next way they can do something better, that sometimes they almost are hard to carry on a conversation with, because you can tell half their brain isn't even in this conversation. Half their brain is tweaking something to make it, where they can win more. And they're in that, that mid-30s, just ate up with it. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying they're dominating. But that's where it comes from, is in any sport, the people that reach that pinnacle, it is their whole life, and to be that dominant among that many great, whether you want to call fishermen athletes or competitors or whatever name you want to call them, but to be at the top of a sport that's that competitive, you have to be completely ate up with it. And that's where those guys are right now. And that's why I say it wouldn't matter. There's no technique. There's no nothing. It would be one fish, all of them. That Wheeler and Kenney in that group that's hot right now, they're still going to win.
Yeah. There's a lot of people on the message board that are asking a lot of questions about this new format, but basically they want to know, will they still get to see all the fish catches on the new format, even though it's the 5 fish limit?
So obviously I don't make those decisions. That's a day-to-day or minute-to-minute decision from our director and our executive producer, what they decide, which fish catches they decide to slide into the stream. I would think on tournaments where the catch rate is not really quick, it's not a high catch rate, yes, you're going to see every single fish. And when they weigh them, whether it's, whether it counts to their 5 fish limit or not. On events, say like some of those northern smallmouth events and stuff where the guys are just catching, you're probably not going to see all the catches. You know what I mean? Just because there's, and that's the way it was even beforehand. Yeah. Even before, we got 16 cameras running out there. We got way more cameras than any of the other shows out there. And there's no way when the fishing's good, you can't put all the fish catches into the stream. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There's not enough time in the day, even though we're broadcasting for 9 hours or whatever it is. You couldn't. But that would answer that question. And like I said, it's not my decision, but by any means, that's the director and the producer and the executive producer's decision. But yeah, when the catch rate's low, you're going to see every single fish. And when the catch rate's high, you're probably not.
But you will see everybody that falls in the water.
Absolutely. Well, I hope so. If not, I'm going to be mad. And once again, I don't have any pull. I'm just saying what I see on the screen. But I'll certainly be walking around the office goosing people saying, why didn't we play that? Why didn't we play that? I think that's the worst thing. We have a ton
of people on the message board that want to see what's inside that box that you're holding.
I know. I've been baiting them for quite a long time, but we keep talking about such interesting stuff that we can't get to it. Tell me which is your favorite stuff. We've got a Dirty Jigs jig. It looks like it might be a swim jig. I can't. And we've got some shaky heads from Dirty Jigs tackle. We've got another finesse style jig. Looks like a football style jig head. This looks like one of JT's jigs.
It is, I think.
Right there. Nice. What I need is some glasses or somebody that's young that can come over to read this stuff. This is a Saber jig.
So it's the Saber swim jig. That's the one that we designed to use with fluorocarbon. So we have 2 different swim jigs. One is designed to be used with braid when you're in really heavy cover. One's designed to be used with fluorocarbon or mono when you're in lighter cover. So the Saber jig, that's the one that you use with fluorocarbon. And why we designed that one is, everybody wants a great big thick hook, right? We all want to be all manly. Oh, my jig's got the biggest hook in it. But the problem is when you get in sparse cover and clear water and you want to throw fluorocarbon on a long cast, you can't get a hook with that big heavy wired jig. So we made 2. We made the Saber swim jig with a little bit lighter wire hook in it, so you can get a good hook set on fluorocarbon. And then we made the Sledgehammer, which there might be one in that box too. We don't know what's in Pete's box really, but we're getting there.
Awesome box, man.
Right? But that's
we've got a flutter spoon. This is about a 3-inch flutter spoon, which man, I love this. I love this size. I know everybody wants to throw the license plate, like you said, because it's really cool. But this is a really awesome size, about a 3-inch variety.
Yep.
It's got Smalley written all over it.
I like it. And then we've just got a pulsator. The very first tournament I ever won was on a pulsator Nichols spinnerbait down on Lake Martin.
I have one sitting right here as well.
There's the I love this little orange blade. The color blades are really cool. I like the one you're showing, JT, because you designed these for the tannic water of Florida and elsewhere.
Yep, that one right there. One of the things that I love that Nichols does and so many other companies don't do is here's the funny thing, and I'm not going to try to take too much of our time, but we all throw green pumpkin, June bug, black and blue swim jigs, but nobody throws green pumpkin and black and blue spinner baits. And I'm like, I don't get it. So we started making, there's this one. We've got a couple different colors. JT's Title Blue Fleck is one that I really like. And also there's we call it BCE, or best color ever. So that's green pumpkin and black and blue mixed together. It's like the two most, iconic colors in bass fishing.
It really is the best color ever. By the way.
Called it best color ever. BCE, best color ever. And you can get that color in all of Nichols products that come with a skirt on it, whether it's a buzz bait or any of the jigs. We got a million jigs. And Pete, one thing too, and I don't know if you might have said this earlier, but what some of our viewers today might not realize is, as you were pulling those dirty jigs baits out of that Nichols Lures box, that Nichols Lures actually bought dirty jigs. So Nichols and Dirty Jig, one of the two most iconic, for lack of a better term, two most iconic in recent history, jig manufacturers and that kind of, spinnerbait, that kind of, non-soft plastic type stuff. There you can see Rez holding them up right there. They have come together as one. And now they're still going to use both their names, but they've come together as one. And you want to talk about going to be a powerhouse in the jig space. It's those two right there, and now they're under the same roof. So I think that's awesome.
Well, we're tickled to death to have them with Bass University and running this promotion with us. And like I said, what a kit! It's a $50 value at least. I'm looking at it. It's got at least that.
Yeah, it might be more.
And for a 6-month subscription to Bass University. And when does that end, Scott?
We're gonna shut it down probably on Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon. So get them while they're hot, while supplies last. And want to give a big shout out. Thank you to Nichols and Dirty Jigs. Thanks for being part of the program. JT, man, it was so much fun. We just burned up our Bass University live time slot, and it's great. As always, having you, and thank you so much for all the great stuff that you do for Bass University.
Oh man, I appreciate it. I love being involved in it. It's over. I don't know how many years we've been working together now, but it's been a lot of fun. And COVID kind of threw us a little loop, and we worked our way around that and changed how we could do things a little bit to get everything done. And man, it's just awesome. I love being able to spread maybe a little bit of knowledge to all our students here at Bass University. And every once in a while, maybe get a little chuckle out of them too. Doesn't hurt anything either.
Yep. You always do that. And you do it on the show. We can't wait to see this year. What's the first tournament on the schedule?
So February 8th will be my first day on air. And that'll be what used to be the pro circuit is now going to be called the Invitationals. And then that's now a 3-day event instead of a 4-day event. And then immediately after that, we'll have a 1 or 2 day break. I know I don't even get to come home from the studio. We have a 1 or 2 day break. And then we go right into the first Bass Pro Tour event of the year at it's at Lake Toho. Yeah. So we got two Florida events, which I live an hour and a half from those places, and I'll be a million miles away in Oklahoma. But that's the beauty of modern technology. That's how it works. And it's going to be fun. So pretty much from the 7th to, the 8th to like the 18th or something like that. Other than 1 or 2 days, we're going to be on air. So there's going to all of a sudden going from nothing to there's going to be all kinds of live bass fishing to watch on TV.
Love it.
Awesome. I can't wait. We will all be watching. I want to wish you best of luck and Happy New Year, buddy.
You guys too, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, JT Kenney, everybody. That was awesome. Such fun stuff, such cool stories, you know.
Yeah.
I can't believe he threw the Alabama rig in the trash can.
Threw it right in the garbage can. It's amazing.
See, that's the thing. I like when I gave up on the lures, I kept them.
Right.
I didn't throw them out. I kept them, but so it still torments me even further. You know, they were right there. I just never.
Is there anything in your boat now that you have that like you still haven't thrown, like that a new bait, new category, anything like that that you haven't like worked your way into throwing yet?
I you know what is continues to plague me is the glide.
Yeah,
and I'm slow to come on. Now I've caught fish with a glide, and I've tried to fold it into my fishing, but I haven't been aggressive enough with it. And that's one that comes to mind. I guarantee you, there's 15 of them in there that are fish catchers that I just you know, for some reason I just don't have confidence.
Big glides or just like in general, small glide, like
the whole category.
Yeah.
The whole category for real. Like the big glides are what everybody's focused on, but I want to get into the medium and smaller size glides. I think they have a home for everyday fishing.
Is that your New Year's resolution?
The glide. Yeah. I think I've taken it. I think I've taken that before. My New Year's resolution always is take a new technique and try to expand on it every year. And
I got a couple in my boat that I still haven't dove into, and they're not necessarily new categories, but they're just kind of, you know, mods to certain baits, like the jabberjaw style crankbait, or the Sixth Sense with the moving bill, the moving metal bill. I have a few of those, and I haven't thrown them yet. And then the other one, and this one's I can't believe I haven't put it to work yet. The big blade chatterbait. Have not caught a fish on, have not caught a fish on the Mini Max chatterbait, and have not caught a fish on the Stealth Blade chatterbait.
You're gonna like the Mini Max, my friend.
That's what I'm kind of on right now. I have an order in for some, and the Yamamoto made the 3-inch Zako, which is a smaller size Zako, so it's got to match up perfectly with that Mini Max. So but I haven't toyed with those baits at all, and probably should.
Yeah, I still want them to get an in between. Like they go all the way down to the Mini Max, but I'd like to have that in between blade size, by the way.
Right.
See, man.
If you're listening.
In between the standard and the mini. I want that in between size.
Right.
Nico wants to know, with the glides, do you use leader?
Oh, do I use a leader? Now I'm going to come right out of the gate. I'm still learning my glide technique, but I'm throwing it on fluorocarbon. I throw it on fluorocarbon exclusively.
20.
20.
Yeah.
Yep. And I honestly, I want to step it up, because when you're throwing a $200 plug, I'm thinking like 25 might be more,
at least,
you know, give me a little bit more security.
I haven't gotten into the glides because I've seen so many guys get into the glides and get so stuck on them that like it has negatively affected their
results.
Their tournament fishing, because you know, you see the power of that big bait, you see the power of the fish that it can draw out, and a lot of times it shows you fish. If the conditions are right, you catch them. But I'm kind of like, should I just stay in my lane, or do I need to go experimenting with these $250 baits that if I backlashed and broke off, I would cry and have to quit fishing?
Honestly, I've had most of my success with the glide is with the storm bait, which is a $40 very durable bait. It's a great way to enter the group.
Wait a minute.
I've seen your catches on that.
A glide bait is $250.
Some of them are.
Yeah, $1,000 you can spend.
They're hand painted.
I will not be using a glide bait.
But they look awesome. And shout out to the folks like Clutch and Black Talon, two great glide bait companies that have been involved with Bass University.
Awesome.
And there's a place for them, man. They work, like, without a doubt. Like the guys that are dialed with them, it'll put that key fish in the boat for you when you need it if the conditions
you gotta
are right.
you gotta know when to put it down.
Right.
In tournament fishing. You know?
Yeah, and it's like, you know, but how long is that curve, that learning curve, to get to that point? And like, is it worth all the hours you're going to put into it? I guess it always is, but
well, Dan Allen says he will not throw one until the water is warm enough for him to go swimming.
no, that's actually a great thing to think.
I had a guy at the Potomac bail on his boat, jumped out of his boat and went swimming for a glide bait in one of the creeks. I thought he fell overboard. He's like, no, man, I got a $125 swim bait hung on that stump. I'm going in. Totally went in after
That'd
it.
be a problem for me because I do that for $6 rattle traps if it's got the paint chewed off it. Like, I want that bait back, let alone a $200 glide bait.
The older the beat,
I don't know what I'm going to do.
I did it in cold water in the spring down on the Tennessee River. I was throwing the top water when the Sammys first came out.
Yep.
And I got it hung up on a cable behind the dock system. And it was the only one I had. They weren't available, you know. And I went swimming. I had to swim under the docks, swam over there, and the cable.
I think you just like to go swimming.
Yeah, maybe so.
Especially during tournaments.
That could be a pattern, Pete. I don't know.
That's exactly why all boats have ladders, right?
Yeah, I'm a good swimmer, as everybody knows now. But we're gonna take a break, or do you want to go right into our giveaways?
Let's give everyone a chance to keep going. So don't forget, go like and share our Facebook feed, and you'll win that really awesome Nichols Lures prize pack. And we will come back with a trivia question for our subscribers. So if you're not a subscriber, you still have a chance. Go subscribe now, $69, and you get the Nichols Lures $50 prize pack, and you will be entered in a chance to win our trivia every single week.
Okay.
Most excellent.
All right.
Take a quick break.
Take a quick break. We'll
Come
be
back,
right back and give away some stuff.
What's going on? It's Riz here from the Bass University, and I am excited to welcome in Waterwood Custom Baits to the Bass U family. These are custom handmade baits in the South Rainforest of Brazil. They're made of Marupa pedra wood. It's extremely dense, it's resistant, but it's also really buoyant. They're made of quality components with a 100% guarantee. They're made for tournament anglers to get it done when the money is on the line. Guys, that was like my second cast with this bait. That's a Waterwood custom bait. These things are handmade in the rainforest south of Brazil. And I mean, as you can see right here, it's a fish catching bait. It's got the front hook. That means they wanted it. This bait's, it's running really true. It throws really well. Guys, check them out at waterwoodcustombaits.com.
BassBoatForSale.com is the world's premier bass boat listings business. We focus on driving premium web traffic to our main website, business Facebook page, business Instagram, and our business YouTube channel, providing your bass boat listings the best buying traffic and top-notch exposure. Whether you need to sell your bass boat or are looking to buy a bass boat, it's simple. We give boats exposure so buyers shop and sellers list. One-time listing fee, no commission, and boats list until they sell. BassBoatForSale.com. Check it out.
Aquaview, the leader in underwater viewing technology. Find what you are looking for. Catch more fish. Have more fun. Aquaview. Seeing is believing.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA. strongest, lightest rod, 100% bait here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick, every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water, not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
It's 36. Welcome back to Bass University Live. Hey guys, I really love that you guys hang out with us and enjoy our podcast. But a good friend of the show is starting a very unique podcast that I can't wait to listen in on. Is Ken Duke's Big Bass podcast. Is I believe this first episode is going to be dropping this evening. You can check it out on all the, wherever you get your podcast, YouTube, and all the others. But check it out. It's going to be exclusively about big bass, world records smallmouth, all the crazy and interesting stories that revolve around, chasing these big giant fish and all the controversy. Seems like there's controversy with every single fish catch, which is totally cool. So it's called the Big Bass Podcast by Ken Duke. So guys, go and check that out. And do you want to ask the trivia question?
Yes.
Yeah.
You ready?
So today's trivia question is, what was the high temperature on Christmas Day in Palm Beach, Florida? What was the high temperature in Palm Bay, Florida on Christmas Day? Palm Beach, wherever JT's from. What was the high temperature on Christmas Day?
It was cold, and that's not the answer.
Florida cold.
We got a winner.
That was quick. Holy crap.
Brett, congratulations. You won our trivia question with 41 degrees.
They got that quicker than they used to get the Ken Duke trivia question.
That's intense. Great job, Brett. Congratulations. We're going to hook you up with a cool Nichols Lure and Dirty Jigs gift pack. Awesome. Thanks for watching and liking and share us over there on Facebook. Appreciate you guys. By the way, it's Ticket Tuesdays. Go over to thebashuniversity.com and get your ticket for a Bass University class. It's awesome. Hanging out for an entire Saturday and Sunday. It's a great time to do it in January and February. Check out the dates and locations over at thebashuniversity.com and get your tickets while you can. We've got a great promotion that ends tonight. We got a really cool gift pack, including some Rapala stuff, Bass University face shield, some really cool Bass University stuff. And that promotion ends tonight. So get that early bird. Take advantage of that special going on at thebashuniversity.com. What's going on at the Ike Foundation?
The Ike Foundation, we are actually doing a fundraiser, and it's a really cool fundraiser that's going on. There's only 200 tickets available at $100 a piece to win Ike's kayak, Hobie kayak. It's a great fundraiser. It gets donations in to get kids fishing and in the outdoors, and you could win a kayak with that. So go on over and purchase some kayak tickets.
Awesome. At IkeFoundation.org. Is that where they do
IkeFoundation.org. Yep.
Okay. Very, very
Sweet.
cool.
We also have a trivia winner.
Or like and share.
Like and share. Sorry. My mind is all over the place. One of our subscribers won, Dan Allen. Congratulations. You won our like and share contest.
Congrats, Dan. Thanks. And appreciate you watching and liking and sharing over there. Next week we're gonna be having Craig Duran in studio, the environmental director at Bass University. We've had we're battling anglers' access rights. Are you guys dealing with this? we are in a few of our lakes around here, and we're doing something about it. And Craig is leading the charge for Bass University, and we're going to be talking about that and, a lot of other important issues around the country. It's going to be a great show next Tuesday. We'll get you some more details as we get closer to the show. So we'll see you here next Tuesday at 11 o'clock. I want to wish, thanks for watching, guys. Happy New Year, everybody. Wishing you all the best in 2023. And we hope to see you at this year's classes. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Hope to see you there. I'm Pete Gluzak for the Bass University. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.